The Lost Library of Alexandria, the greatest collection of knowledge ever destroyed. Imagine a single building that contained the greatest collection of human knowledge ever assembled. A place where the brightest minds of the ancient world gathered to study the stars, unravel the mysteries of mathematics, explore medicine, and debate philosophy. A place that held hundreds of thousands of scrolls, books from Egypt, Persia, India, Mesopotamia, Greece, and lands far beyond. Now imagine that this treasure of knowledge disappeared. Not because humanity stopped learning, but because history itself turned against it. For more than 2,000 years, people have wondered what was lost inside one of history's most famous buildings, the Library of Alexandria. Some believe it contained discoveries centuries ahead of its time. Others argue its reputation has grown into legend. Whatever the truth may be, one fact remains undeniable. The Library of Alexandria became the greatest symbol of humanity's endless search for knowledge, and its destruction became one of history's greatest tragedies. Our story begins in Egypt, not the Egypt of towering pyramids and powerful pharaohs, but an Egypt transformed by conquest. In 332 BC, Alexander the Great entered Egypt during his extraordinary campaign across the ancient world. Recognizing the country's strategic importance, he founded a new city along the Mediterranean coast. He named it after himself, Alexandria. Alexander would never see the city become what he imagined. Soon after, he died unexpectedly at the age of 32. His empire was divided among his generals. Egypt came under the rule of the Ptolemaic dynasty, founded by Ptolemy I Soter. The new rulers inherited not only a kingdom, but an ambitious vision. They wanted Alexandria to become the intellectual capital of the world. Not merely a center of military power, not simply a wealthy trading port, but a city where knowledge itself would be collected, protected, and expanded. At the heart of this dream stood an extraordinary institution, the Great Library. Alongside it was the Mausoleum, often described as a sanctuary dedicated to the Muses, the goddesses of inspiration in Greek tradition. It functioned as far more than a library. It was a research center, a university, a place where scholars lived, studied, taught, and collaborated. The rulers of Egypt invested enormous resources into this project. Their goal was astonishingly ambitious. They wanted to collect every important written work in the known world. Ships arriving at the harbor were carefully inspected. If they carried books or scrolls, officials borrowed them for copying. The original manuscripts were sometimes retained for the royal collection, while copies were returned to their owners. Messengers traveled across kingdoms searching for rare texts. Books were purchased at great expense. Copies were commissioned whenever originals could not be obtained. Knowledge itself became a royal treasure. The collection grew rapidly. Although historians debate the exact number, ancient sources describe a library containing hundreds of thousands of scrolls. Each scroll represented someone's ideas, someone's discoveries, someone's observations about the world. Together, they formed an extraordinary archive of human civilization. Imagine walking through endless halls lined with shelves of papyrus, scholars quietly reading by lamplight, scribes carefully copying delicate manuscripts, teachers discussing astronomy beneath marble columns, mathematicians drawing perfect geometric figures in the sand, physicians comparing observations of the human body, poets composing verses inspired by distant cultures. Every corner of the library buzzed with curiosity. Alexandria became a meeting place unlike any other. Greek philosophers exchanged ideas with Egyptian priests. Jewish scholars translated sacred texts. Mathematicians challenged astronomers. Doctors compared medical knowledge gathered from across the ancient world. Languages mixed. Cultures blended. Ideas crossed borders more freely than armies ever could. The library became proof that knowledge grows strongest when civilizations learn from one another. Some of history's greatest thinkers worked in Alexandria. One of them was Euclid. His book, Elements, became one of the most influential mathematical works ever written. For more than 2,000 years, students around the world studied geometry using principles first organized in Alexandria. Another brilliant mind was Eratosthenes. Without satellites, without airplanes, without modern instruments, he calculated the circumference of the Earth with astonishing accuracy. By comparing the angle of sunlight at two different locations and applying simple geometry, he estimated the size of our planet with remarkable precision. His result differed from the modern value by only a small margin. Centuries before space exploration, humans already understood that the Earth was a sphere. Another scholar, Aristarchus of Samos, proposed an extraordinary idea. He suggested that the Earth revolved around the Sun. The idea was far ahead of its time. It would not become widely accepted until nearly 18 centuries later. Whether his original work survived is uncertain, but his revolutionary thinking reminds us how bold the intellectual atmosphere of Alexandria had become. The library was more than a place to preserve knowledge. It was a place to create new knowledge. Researchers questioned accepted beliefs. They tested ideas. They observed nature. They argued. They revised conclusions. In many ways, the spirit of scientific inquiry that defines modern research can already be seen in the work of Alexandria's scholars. The city itself reflected this remarkable energy. Merchants arrived from every corner of the Mediterranean. The famous lighthouse of Pharos guided ships safely into one of the busiest ports in the ancient world. Markets overflowed with goods from distant kingdoms. Languages echoed through crowded streets. Ideas traveled alongside spices, silk, glass, and precious metals. Alexandria became one of the greatest crossroads of civilization. But greatness often attracts danger. As the city grew wealthier and more influential, it became deeply entangled in the political struggles of powerful empires. Wars, civil unrest, foreign invasions, religious conflict, dynastic rivalries. The very city built to preserve human knowledge now stood at the center of an increasingly unstable world. And somewhere within those magnificent halls, the greatest collection of ancient learning ever assembled faced a future no one could have imagined. Because history remembers the Library of Alexandria not only for what it achieved, but for what humanity eventually lost. What happened next has remained one of the most debated mysteries in all of history. Was the library destroyed in a single catastrophic fire? Did Julius Caesar accidentally set it ablaze? Or did it slowly disappear through centuries of neglect, conflict, and repeated destruction? The answers are far more complicated than the legend, and the truth may be even more heartbreaking. Because sometimes, the greatest tragedies do not happen in a single night. They unfold quietly, one page at a time. When people speak about the Library of Alexandria, they often imagine a single night. A towering building consumed by flames, thousands of scrolls turning to ash as scholars desperately tried to save them. It is a powerful image, one of history's most unforgettable tragedies. But history is rarely that simple. The truth is far more complicated, and perhaps even more heartbreaking. Because the greatest library of the ancient world may not have died in one disaster. It may have faded away over centuries. The first event most often connected to its destruction occurred in 48 BC. At that time, Julius Caesar had become involved in a civil war in Egypt. Trapped in the city of Alexandria, his forces set fire to ships in the harbor to prevent them from falling into enemy hands. The flames spread. Ancient writers later reported that warehouses containing books were damaged during the fire. Some accounts even suggested that part of the library itself suffered losses. But exactly how much was destroyed remains uncertain. The surviving historical sources do not agree. Some were written generations after the event. Others provide only brief descriptions. Modern historians continue debating whether Caesar's fire damaged the main library, nearby book collections, or storage facilities connected to the harbor. What seems likely is that books were certainly lost, but the Great Library probably continued to exist afterward, at least in some form. Life in Alexandria went on. Scholars continued working. Books continued to circulate. Knowledge continued to grow. Yet the city itself was changing. The Roman Empire eventually absorbed Egypt. Political priorities shifted. Funding for great scholarly institutions became less certain. Generations passed. Buildings aged. Collections required constant care. Papyrus scrolls were fragile. Without careful preservation, they slowly deteriorated. Even without war, maintaining hundreds of thousands of manuscripts required enormous effort. Then came new periods of unrest. Civil conflicts shook Alexandria. Emperors fought for power. Religious tensions grew stronger. Public buildings were damaged, entire districts changed. One of the most significant moments came in the late 4th century. By then, Christianity had become the dominant religion of the Roman Empire. Many older pagan temples were closed or destroyed. Among them was the Serapeum of Alexandria. The Serapeum was not the original Great Library itself, but ancient sources suggest it housed an important collection of books connected to Alexandria's scholarly tradition. When the Serapeum was destroyed in AD 391, another chapter of the city's intellectual heritage came to an end. By this point, however, historians believe much of the original library had already disappeared. Its decline had likely been unfolding for generations. Centuries later, another legend emerged. Some stories claim that during the Arab conquest of Alexandria in the 7th century, the remaining books were burned under the orders of Caliph Umar. According to the tale, if the books agreed with the Quran, they were unnecessary. If they disagreed, they were dangerous. It is a dramatic story, but most modern historians reject it. The earliest versions appeared hundreds of years after the conquest, and contemporary sources from the time do not mention such an event. Today, scholars generally view this account as a later legend rather than reliable history. So if no single event destroyed the library, what actually happened? The most convincing explanation is surprisingly ordinary: time, war, neglect, political instability, economic decline, religious conflict. One generation failed to preserve what the previous generation had built. Then another, and another. Eventually, one of humanity's greatest centers of learning simply disappeared, not in a single blaze, but through centuries of gradual loss. Perhaps that is even more tragic, because it reminds us that knowledge is never guaranteed to survive. It must be protected, copied, shared, passed from one generation to the next. Otherwise, it fades, just like memory. The question that continues to fascinate people today is not only how the library vanished, it is what vanished with it. How many books disappeared forever? No one knows. Some works survive only because copies were made elsewhere. Others are known only through quotations in later writings. Many are gone completely. Entire histories, scientific observations, plays, poems, philosophical debates, medical research, maps, mathematical discoveries. Voices that once shaped the ancient world have been silenced forever. Sometimes historians discover the title of a lost book without knowing anything about its contents. Imagine standing before a shelf filled with thousands of unopened books. Now imagine every one of them disappearing forever. That is the scale of the loss we are trying to comprehend. It is tempting to imagine that the library contained forgotten technologies or miraculous inventions centuries ahead of their time. Popular culture often embraces this idea, but the truth is more subtle. The greatest loss was not secret machines. It was the disappearance of countless individual perspectives. Every scroll represented a human mind, a question, an observation, an attempt to understand the world. Together, they formed a conversation stretching across civilizations. When those voices disappeared, humanity lost part of its own memory. Yet the spirit of Alexandria did not vanish completely. Its influence spread far beyond Egypt. Greek knowledge traveled into the Roman world. Later, scholars in the Islamic Golden Age translated, preserved, and expanded many ancient texts. Centuries afterward, European universities rediscovered classical learning through those translations. Knowledge continued its journey, not because one library survived, but because people in different cultures chose to preserve what they could. In many ways, every modern library carries a small part of Alexandria's legacy. Every archive, every museum, every university, every digital database. They all share the same dream: to protect human knowledge from being lost again. Today, the Bibliotheca Alexandrina stands near the ancient city's shoreline. Opened in 2002, it was built not as a reconstruction of the original library, but as a tribute to its enduring legacy. Its architecture faces the Mediterranean, symbolizing an open window to the world's cultures and ideas. It reminds visitors that while buildings may fall, the pursuit of knowledge must continue. Perhaps the greatest lesson of the Library of Alexandria is not about fire, it is about responsibility. Civilizations are remembered not only for the monuments they build, but for the knowledge they preserve. Every generation inherits ideas from those who came before. Every generation decides what will survive. The Library of Alexandria teaches us that knowledge is among humanity's most precious treasures, more valuable than gold, more enduring than empires, yet also more fragile than we often realize. Because books can burn, scrolls can decay, buildings can collapse. But curiosity has a remarkable way of surviving. It passes quietly from teacher to student, from parent to child, from one civilization to another. As long as people continue asking questions, the true spirit of Alexandria lives on. Perhaps we will never know exactly how many scrolls filled its shelves. We may never discover every masterpiece that vanished into history. But somewhere between myth and memory, the world's greatest lost library still whispers the same timeless message. Knowledge is humanity's greatest inheritance, and preserving it may be the most important responsibility we will ever share.